Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to the Macro Lounge podcast. If you're new here, this is where we dive into all things sparkly and bikini-wise in New Zealand bodybuilding. We don't talk about the boys, right, Rach?
No sparkles, we don't care.
No sparkles, don't care. We're talking a little bit of education and probably too much honesty to get ourselves in trouble, but hey, we haven't been cancelled yet, and we're almost up to episode 20.
We possibly might get cancelled soon, though. Well, it's still early.
It's still early. It's not Christmas yet. Give us a chance. All right, before we jump in, if you're tuning in on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, hit the follow button and leave us a quick rating and review. It actually really does help other athletes find the show. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you can see my lovely, sparkly, scratchy face today, like and subscribe and drop us a comment. Tell us what you think about what we're talking about today, any topics you want us to cover next. All right, so what's been going on this week, Rachel?
Dying. Slowly.
Dying. Me too, but different. No.
Yeah, actually, no, you actually were dying. I was just drowning in sparkles because we are now, three days out, and I still haven't finished all my suits for this weekend.
To be fair, that's par for the course. It's 3 days out, so I would expect you to be finished by about 9 a.m. Sunday morning.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be backstage at 9 a.m. Sunday morning.
Yeah, so you'll still be doing it as you're sitting backstage.
Yeah, so I mean, I have mostly finished my swimsuit. I have finished my bikini. I've got about 30 minutes left on the swimsuit. I might just do that in Telpo. And I haven't even started sewing my dress yet. I've spent all morning just doing the pattern making and design for it. So I still need to sew it and rhinestone it.
So this is the life of a professional bikini maker, everybody. It's like do everybody else's before your own. And then experiment on it as well, as we have been doing backwards and forwards of pictures of what do you think of this? It's like she sends me colour samples of rhinestones, guys, which as we all know, and was confirmed this morning, by the way, I'm freaking colourblind. So I'm like, it's pink, it's purple.
But I have
what do you
carbs.
expect?
I have no carbs. I can't be trusted to make decisions at this point.
Well, I'd like to point out that I did get confirmation from the producer as well, just rather than me just going, oh, go this way. I was like, hey, what do you think?
It was funny, though, because I was also messaging Talia, asking her opinion, and she every time said the opposite of what you said. I was like,
yeah, she's got prep brain.
That doesn't help.
Yeah, no, she's got prep brain. Don't
I figured because Valerie was there as well. I trust Valerie.
Yep. That was my theory. I was like, I'm going with what she says. Yes. But all in all, we're almost there. It has been an interesting week. I did have a near-death experience myself. My near-death experience did involve actually being hospitalised, so excuse my voice if it's a bit scratchy today. And I would like to point out before I get into trouble, my wife did save my life, not just figuratively, but also literally.
Again, why we always trust Valerie.
Yes, we always trust Valerie. Do not doubt the management department. But no, unfortunately, I ended up in Auckland A&E and at the ear, nose and throat specialist department with some form of chronic viral respiratory infection, which who knows where the hell that came from. Because 1 minute I'm doing a check-in with a couple of athletes and the next thing I'm like, yeah, I'm going to call this short. I'm going to just need to go and get this checked on. And they were like, yeah, it's a good thing you came in when you did, because basically I couldn't breathe and I couldn't swallow. And I was like, yeah. I don't like them sticking those cameras down your nose. It's not fun.
So I don't think that's quite how it went. I don't think you were the one who said, I think I need to get this checked. I believe you said it was fine, and I quote, just a tickle.
So to stop working. What? I can't hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was. Yes, okay, I did go under duress, all right? Fine, I will admit that.
Yep.
But hey, on the plus side, I win.
Yeah, see, I was getting messages from Chris saying, yeah, I've got a bit of a sore throat. I can't really breathe, but it's all good. Like, I'm fine. But then at the same time, I would receive a message from Val saying, no, it is not fine. Chris is not okay. We are going to hospital.
I didn't want to bother people, It's like, I was still alive. I was still breathing. So, this was all good in my book until, right up until we got to the A&E department. They went, nope, you are going straight through to CSC. I was like, oh.
Shit.
Okay. Shit. This could be slightly more serious than I thought.
We always trust Mama Val.
Yep. That was the lesson today. And for all you gentlemen out there that are watching, do not argue with your wife when your wife says you're going to the hospital. Just go with it. It's going to probably be beneficial to your health. In my case, it was also a good excuse. I got to eat nothing but ice cream and jelly for like 4 days. So I was like, this is a plan I could get used to.
Yep, so I've screenshotted this for future reference. Chris sent me a message saying that ice cream is a primary food group. I'm keeping that forever and using it as reference for future plans for all my meal plans.
Yeah, I was pretty much, but I was medicated, so really it can't really be held against me. I could plead that I was incapacitated.
Mm-hmm. You
No,
still said it.
I did promise you ice cream after nationals, so that's fine.
True.
We can do that.
I'm
We know
excited.
where
I
the
get
ice.
some carbs today.
Yes, you do. You do. And we also know that the ice cream place is just across the road from the venue, so this is a good thing.
This is true, and the show should finish earlier because it's over 2 days. Yay!
Excellent. So ice cream for lunch. All right. So what are we going to talk about today, Rachel?
And today we are talking about the Olympia, which was just this weekend. So now that it's been, 4 or 5 days since the Olympia, we've had a moment to have a look at the results and have a think and digest, and it was a little bit controversial.
What you mean by we've had a moment to look at the results and digest it? We've all had the chance to read all the Reddit threads and the Instagram threads and the TikTok threads and how everybody is just like, oh my God. So that's what you mean. So we've researched this thoroughly.
We love Reddit. Anyone who out there, go onto our Bikini Talk on Reddit. It is fantastic. It's my favorite place to be.
It's like better than Oprah Winfrey.
You get all the bikini goss there. All of it.
You do. You do.
Like all the
Some
people
of it I
who
don't
do all the crazy stalking, they do it for you. It saves so much time.
They do. It's very efficient.
It is. It is. So,
Yes.
are we going to start with bikini, or are we going to talk about any other results, or are we just going bikini?
Do we care about any other results? I mean, I know there were some sparkles in other classes, but I mean, there was a couple of new ones. There was a little bit of controversy in some. I mean, I think the most controversial one was probably in the outside of obviously the changing of the crown in bikini. I think probably the most controversial would have been in the women's
physique.
Yeah, women's physique.
I did hear there was a little bit of drama there.
Yeah, I think the reigning Olympia, Sarah, she came out with a comment about the girl who won, Natalia, who looked great, by the way.
I thought she looked incredible, the girl who won.
Yeah, and, generally Sarah is a very humble champion, but I think some of her comments were probably unnecessary. This things happens in sports where they've all got, egos, etc. to go with it.
What other controversy was it? We had a new figure champion.
Which I thought that was good. I didn't see any issue with that. I thought she was thoroughly deserving. In fact, I thought all of the figure in general was really, really strong. I thought, obviously, there had to be a changing of the guard with the retirement of the reigning champion, but I thought the top 10 of the Miss Olympia from Missy all the way through to Rhea was brilliant. Then
I will say, I wasn't a huge fan of how the winner was wearing her suit. Her suit bottoms were like up on her ribs.
Yeah,
She must have glued them. Like, there's no way that they would sit like that naturally. She must have like glued them down. But I thought it was a little bit too high.
It almost looked like she tucked it under her floating rib. I was like, going,
yeah. I thought it was a little bit too high. It made her torso look a little bit shorter.
Yeah, I thought.
I thought it threw off her proportions just a tiny bit because it made her legs look really long and her torso look really, really short. Yeah, that's the one thing I'll say about that. I thought that was a little bit interesting how she was wearing her suit.
And I thought obviously in the other women's class, the wellness with
Eduardo
taking that, and I thought that was fair. I thought
Isabel
was not, and Elisa, I don't think they were quite as crisp. To be honest, I don't like the wellness Olympia look. To me, bodybuilding has always been about balance and symmetry and all that sort of carry on. I still even don't get me wrong, it's impressive, right? I mean, it is impressive. But when you are intentionally creating a class where half the body doesn't balance, to me, it's like, well, that's not bodybuilding. It's impressive. The conditioning in that is all good. I just personally, at that level, I'm just like, that's me. They still wear sparkles, so we love it.
We do love a bit of wellness. And also, Eduarda has been, I think she only got her pro card like last year. It's insane. Yeah, she got her pro card, went to the Olympia for like within a year, and then 1 year later, she's Olympia champion. It's nuts. But
and well deserved too.
Oh, well deserved, yeah. People have been calling her a mini Fran for a while. Even before she got her pro card, when she was an amateur, people were looking at her going, "This is mini Fran." So it does definitely make sense that she took the title. And I do really love her look. She is stunning on stage, and I love Issa too. Although I really wish Issa didn't wear the red suit.
Didn't they all wear red suits?
Top 6 were all in red.
So if you're doing wellness, ladies,
uniform is red.
Pro tip. Get the red bikini. What else was there? Men's classic physique. Obviously, new champion Ramon bringing that one out. Which
I got nothing.
I was didn't watch that. Skip that section.
I watched C-Bum, but yeah, that's pretty much
You just like the moustache, although I really can't see Ed with the moustache.
No, I like his posing. I really love Chris's posing. It's just like so satisfying to watch. It's just
Yeah.
graceful, and it's incredible to watch his posing. That's so.
Also, not just his routines, I actually like Sebum's mandatory posing. Like, he hits it and he nails it, and he actually poses where a lot of the guys are just like, I'm so pretty. And you're like, dude, front double bicep, flex. But I thought it was good that Ramon, he re-established himself. Basically, he screwed up last year. He looked terrible last year. He was holding way too much water. Obviously, a little bit of controversy going around about some of the heighting for the classic guys, which is
Yes.
like,
It
how
was
did you drop 14 pounds to make weight from last year? It's like, yeah, that's
well,
bullshit.
I believe one of them grew 5 centimeters.
Yeah, I was like, I wish I could do that. It's like,
So yeah, it was interesting seeing the photos came up because there was no one way that they were measured. Some guys were facing forward, some guys were facing back. They weren't leaning back against anything. Some guys were measured from the top of their hair. It was very interesting
yeah.
the way from the photos.
Sometimes, I'm sorry, but sometimes the officials, they just like to shoot themselves in the foot. It's like, look, if you're going to put this on a live stream, on a high definition live stream,
I don't think they live streamed the heights. They released
they
the
did.
photos, but they did because
Yeah,
I
they did.
heard they
And it
stopped
was,
live streaming it.
yeah, they did. But it was like, there was enough to see, like, you're not doing this consistently. And it's like, if you go, even if they weren't live streaming it, just do it consistently, because that's fair to everybody. I mean, we know there was a New Zealand athlete, Grant Patrice, a couple of years ago, went to the Olympia. He thought he was 5'10", and whatever that is in centimeters. That's the way he'd always been measured. And they literally measured him that much under. And he had to drop a shit ton of weight to get on stage, which he couldn't do. So he went all that way, did all of that work, and still didn't make it on stage. So, yeah, they need to sort of clean that up a little bit. And obviously we had a new Mr. Olympia, which
Again, I'm sorry, I don't know much about this one.
we're not really going to get into the controversy around that. I personally, again, there's a lot of people saying, everybody's an armchair critic and they all want to say who should and shouldn't have won. But I thought the top 10 was fair. I liked the look. The reigning Mr. Olympia came in at 4th. He wasn't quite 100% on. But the top 4 being Samson Dowder, Andrew Jack, Hardy Chopin, and Derek Lunsford. Yep, any of those could have taken it. I prefer the Andrew Jack than Samson Dowder look. I think it's more classic. I think they look more symmetrical. Derek, what do you do? I mean, as I said, you can argue that till you're blue in the face. But anyway, we're not here to talk about them. We're here to talk about the bikini. So what was, I guess the big takeaway was kind of the judges made it sort of pretty crystal clear that they were looking for fullness and balance. That's the sort of look that sort of came back. That sort of super lean, overly striated look that's sort of been coming in the last few years pre-fit model. Sort of doesn't seem to be flying anymore. So I think the Olympia basically set like a reset button on the division. So it swung back to a softer, more attainable, still athletic, still polished, but not as extreme. But as Rach and I were just talking about before, I thought the interesting thing was you had the amateur Olympia on at the same time, and the girls who won that were much better conditioned, much deeper striation, make much more pronounced glute hamstring tie-ins, much more conditioning through the upper body than the pros. So again, all of the top 10 did present softer and fuller. So I don't know if necessarily it's saying this is the look as opposed to this was the look, so we have to judge it. But it is kind of obvious that they are sort of going a little bit softer, which I think is also interesting because if you look at all the pro shows leading into the Olympia, most of them were being rewarded on better conditioning. So it was kind of like, I think that was the most surprising part of the Olympia, was like, you were expecting them to come in and reward the girls because now with Fit Model coming in, I was expecting them to come in. It's like, okay, the girls now that have really got the, going, back to, showing that more extreme conditioning. And then the first girl walked on, I was like, alrighty, here we go.
I do think, though, it has been a theme for like the past probably 4 years that the Olympia tends to reward the softer, fuller look, but the rest of the year, every single other pro show rewards conditioning and quite a bit of a harder look. And then every time the Olympia comes around and they reward the softer, fuller look. So it is something that I've noticed as a pattern.
Mm.
So yeah, it is a little bit of an inconsistency there because it's so hard for athletes because what do you do? Do you bring the Olympia look, which is supposed to be the look that you're aiming for, or do you bring the look that's being rewarded?
Yeah. And it's like, and they say that the Olympia is the standard, right? So whatever happens at the Olympia, that's what you should be aiming for. And then, as you said, every other show, even shows with having the same head judges, being Tyler and Steve and Sandy as such, who are head judging. Outside of the Olympia, they also seem to be rewarding the conditioning. So again, is it the standard, which you would argue has been set because that's what the Olympia is supposed to do, or is it this were the girls that were, this were the athletes that were there, and this is what they presented? So we kind of have to go down that route. I mean, it's as you said, it's probably the most contentious Olympia that it's been for quite a while, particularly in bikini.
Well, probably since she won it last time.
Yeah, which is what, 2022? 23?
I think so. 23 maybe?
Yeah, 23, yeah. Which was cool to see her come back in. So, all right, so let's sort of go through some of these lovely, I mean, the top 10 were astounding. They were all,
The entire lineup was actually crazy. I think it's the best all-around lineup that I've seen since I've started following bodybuilding, which is 5 years. So in the past 5 years or so, even I think I've looked back at like even back to 2018. Oh, not 2018. Sorry, brain.
Back in the archives of the deep dark ages.
So yeah, that's quite a few years. 8 years worth of bikini, and this is definitely the most impressive lineup, like all over, like right up until the last placing, most impressive that we've ever had. Like the standard was nuts.
Yeah, the depth right across was just insane, as you said, from first all the way through. I mean, obviously they only score up to 16. But
there was not a single athlete that you look at and you're like, oh, they've missed that. Like, I mean, there was a couple that you're like, oh, they're not as good as they usually are, but there was none of them that were like, oh, they don't really look Olympia standard or like top 10 standard. Like all of them looked incredible.
Yeah, I mean, there's there is the top 10 and then there is everybody else, but none of them looked like they didn't actually belong on the Olympia stage. So there was no like, generally you always have, especially at the Olympia and the men's bodybuilding, outside of the top 6, top 10, you're kind of like, how the hell did you get there? But anyways, all right, so first, we have a new champion.
We do.
Or a returning champion, being Maureen. I thought she came back with a really balanced and flowing physique. Not the leanest, not the most muscular. Take your medicine, Chris. Take your medication. But everything sort of just fit together. She had really round shoulders, small waist. Other than, as we talked about before, there's a couple of photos that sort of show when she's relaxed. Her waist was a little blown out, but only counts in the posing that the judges see, so that doesn't matter. Small waist, her glutes were full, but not overly detailed. There wasn't like really predominant glute hamstring tie-in. She looked healthy, she looked confident, and she looked complete. And I think that's the key for her. She brought fullness without losing her shape, and she's obviously, because she's a champion, it's a kind of a statement when that says bikini is about the whole picture, not the hardest body.
Yeah, she is definitely known for bringing a very full, bubbly look. Very few people can bring, like, I guess, the level of softness that she brings and actually still look conditioned at the same time.
Actually pull it off.
Yeah, she's famous for having that really full, bubbly look and just being able to really fill out her muscles. Sorry, brain. And her presentation is always just incredible. Like I remember when she walked out for her individual routine, I was like, oh, I think she might actually have it this year because, she did even before you see her in the comparisons. And last time I had that thought was, I think last time she won, and then also when Janet won. So when somebody comes out looking like that, and you have that thought of, shit, I think she's got it. Yeah, that's some next level presentation right there.
Yeah, right. And next up we had the runner-up. We had Ashlyn
Little.
She nailed her shape and balance. She came in a bit sharper. I thought a bit sharper condition than Maureen, especially from the back. Yeah. You could see deeper lines through her hamstrings. Probably a touch of depletion in the upper glutes, which was, again, splitting hairs. These are the world champions. She's still one of the best in the world, but this year, I think that extra detail kind of worked against her in the way they were judging. She was fuller, but a bit leaner. And also, let's face facts. You can't win the Olympia and be blonde.
Ow.
There's never been one.
Hey, we don't know that. No, actually, to be fair, because I used to listen to Ashlyn's podcast, and she has actually mentioned that she has been marked down for being blonde before. Apparently, that was her feedback, that half the reason, because it was between her and another girl, and her feedback was that, well, her hair was distracting.
Honestly say I've never written that in anybody's feedback, that I'm sorry, you could have won, but you're blonde. But it is interesting.
She's been told that.
There's never been a blonde Olympia champion.
That's true. And it has been a thing for a while that people would say, like, you can't really do well as a blonde, which is very upsetting for me as a blonde. But no, but getting back to Ashlyn, she has made some incredible progress to her shape over the past few years. Like, I actually used to really not like her physique, like a couple years ago. I really didn't like it. It looked really blocky, but she has made some incredible improvements, especially with being as short as she is, because she's very, very tiny. Yeah, she's managed to grow her glutes. She's has balanced out her proportions a lot. There was a while there where I think she had a breast augmentation that was too big. I think she's downsized it since then, because for a while it was like all you could see. I'm not sure, maybe it was the cups that she's changed, but there was a while where she was a little bit off balance, but she is looking incredible, and she's got such great glute pop now. Like, she never used to have that, so kudos to Ashlyn.
Yeah, I think the improvements she's made has really helped her presentation and her symmetry, particularly from the front. I think from the side she still looks a bit just like a Lego person. You
Well,
put them together,
structurally,
it's
when
not.
you're that short, it's kind of hard
Yeah,
to, she's very
yeah,
compact.
yeah. But when she's in her front pose or in her back pose, I think she flows really well. But from the side, it just doesn't look like the three sections go together. You're like, I'm not right. Anyway,
She's so tiny, but yeah, she's known for bringing condition. She is very known for being a harder athlete as well. So I do hope she softens up a little bit more.
I think she'll need to. That'll be her feedback, I imagine.
I think if she softened up in the shoulders, she would possibly have an edge over Maureen.
Possibly, yeah. Third, we had Jasmine. So phenomenal structure, but I think her conditioning was next level. Like, she was maybe a little too next level for this lineup. So she had veins that ran, you could see it running all the way down her shoulders, all the way down her arms, right into her wrist. Really deep ab lines. I mean, it's incredible. You could argue it crosses the line into figure territory. You could. And it's the kind of look that used to win, to like maybe last year or the year before. But this year, I think it was a pretty clear message. If you're too hard, you're out.
She did soften up from last year, I believe. And last year at the Olympia, her look was even more hard than it was this year. So she did soften up a touch. She probably just didn't want to overshoot. But yeah, as you say, phenomenal structure. She is also very well known for her posing. Amazing posing. And she always has these really cool, like, sassy transitions. Which please don't try to copy, because if you don't have that personality, it's not going to work for you. But yeah, though, she's always an incredible athlete. But yeah, as you say, a little bit too hard through the shoulders, I think.
Yeah.
She needs to not have that vascularity.
Again, super competitive.
Oh, very.
And I think, when we talk about the third and fourth placings were the only two on the judges' scorecards that were essentially not unanimous. And you could, and that would be fair. It would have been a really tough call.
Because in fourth place, we had Ashley Colwester.
Nope.
No, yes, we did.
Amy. No, fourth place was Amy, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? Sorry, my bad. I didn't write that down. Sorry.
You had my girl in the wrong place. Amy's like, she's known for her upper body dominance, like big delts, arms, tight quads. This year she softened her look a bit, and I think that worked in her favor. She's still got more muscle than what the judges seem to want to see right now. I think she's incredible, but the glutes and the delts, they're kind of almost outside her frame. You can see the balance isn't quite where they're wanting it to be. I don't know if that's fair, but that's kind of like the difference. If you look at her compared to Maureen, that's kind of like where I'm seeing what maybe the judges were looking at.
Although from memory, I think last year she did bring a downsized look, and then she got penalized for it.
Yeah.
And she got told to come back bigger. So it's kind of like, it's very hard for her to find that line, I think, with the amount of muscle she has in her structure. Hopefully she'll get there, because she looked absolutely incredible. But yeah, if she can fine-tune some of those tweaks, I think she could probably win at some point. And then we had... come back to Ashley Colwester, the GOAT. I think if her posing was here, she would have won.
Yeah. Well, she came in softer than we've seen her recently, which I think was a smart move.
It was a smart move.
Her look was balanced and classy, maybe a bit flat compared to Maureen. I mean, it's kind of wild to say that being too conditional, too tight could hold you back, but that's kind of what happened here as well. The popped and hydrated look is kind of what they're looking for now. I also think, whilst she's the GOAT, and I do not understand why her and her team, particularly her head coach, Adam, everybody's telling you your posing sucks. So not everybody's going to be wrong. You can sit there and go, no, my posing's not. But you kind of have to listen to what the mass is saying. And if her posing, she had better transitions, if she looked more confident, because sometimes I mean, come on, you've won more shows than any IFBB pro in existence ever. If you still walk out looking like you've just been shot between the eyes and
Okay, to
terrified,
be fair, she
she
actually
does
gets
have
double
vision problems.
vision, yes,
Yeah,
and so she did have to have surgery, and she has been on stage where she literally cannot see.
yeah. And
I
taking
think she
that
was legally
aside,
blind at one point.
her posing
Yes,
is her biggest weakness.
it is.
And if her posing had been on, considering the look that she bought, I personally think she could have taken it. And there's nothing I would
agree.
like more than seeing, after 10 years since her last win, like, if she bought that same package in again with improved posing, I think she would have won.
I agree. I 100% agree. Like I do think she's gotten better. Like it's not, I would say her posing is okay now. It's not terrible. She used to be pretty,
But it's not.
It was a struggle to watch her previously. Now it's like, yeah, she's there, but she doesn't draw you in. You don't really want to watch her.
Yeah, but it's not good enough for a 3-time Olympian champion
100%.
and a 50 plus time pro winner. She if anything, she should be the best.
Yeah, she does very much need to improve. But yeah, apparently she has had feedback from the judges that her posing is improved to a point where it's fine. But I'm also like, at the same time, even if the judges are saying like, yeah, your posing's okay, if everybody else is saying, please improve your posing, does that not tell you something?
And okay at this level is not good enough.
And especially when you're up against like Maureen, Jazzy, and Laura Lee. Yeah. Those three have immaculate posing. Like Laura Lee did ballroom dancing lessons for a while to work on her posing, and she was already one of the best. So when you're already the top poser in the world and you're then still leveling up, like what does that tell you?
Exactly. All right, so that moves us on to probably the one that shocked everyone,
which was Laura Lee,
the reigning champion. This one shocked everyone. From going from champion to sixth, it's a big drop. She looked smaller, flatter, definitely looked less energetic than usual. Yeah. I don't know if she missed her peak. It was almost weird. It kind of hurt me a little to watch, when she came out.
Like she looked sad. She looked really sad. Like in her routine, you could see her eyes. She just didn't look like she wanted to be there, and she looked really sad. Like I don't know if what the reason was. It seems like she might be having some personal issues.
Yeah, and that's very unfortunate. Yeah. Obviously, we all feel for her, but obviously she missed her peak. Her usual roundness through the glutes and delts just wasn't there. If you go soft but lose your fullness, it sort of reads as underdone instead of balanced. And as you said, she just looked, and it's horrible to say because she's a world champion, and from all accounts, she's an absolutely wonderful person. We all read some of the stuff that gets talked about her in her personal life, and we don't want to read into that. But yeah, it just hurt a little bit because she looked sad, and it was kind of like you just wanted to go up and say, "It's okay, don't worry about it. Shit happens. We'll get through it."
I don't know because she hasn't said anything. Her coach hasn't said anything. No one has said a thing about why she showed up the way she did. I know that her coach going in said that she was coming in, I think 3 to 5 lbs heavier. So what's that, 2 kgs ish?
Yeah.
So I don't know if they did it on purpose to bring that fuller, softer look, because I know that has been her feedback in the past, but it was way, way, way beyond what a softer, fuller look should have been. So I don't know. And
I thought her back pose looked off, like the way she was standing, and it was just.
I believe that was probably due to Aldo, her partner or ex-partner. We don't know.
The guy who solved all her skeletal problems by X, Y, and Z. It's like, yeah, all right, I've got some.
Apparently, posing is science, according to him. Yes. He says posing is a science.
Yeah, I think the less said about that gentleman, the better. He's probably got some oceanfront property in Arizona that he can sell you for $19.99 a week as well. Anyway, moving on.
Yes, no, that was a big shock, I think.
Yeah.
Laura Lee. I think her back pose and her posing was what placed her that low. I think if her posing was the level it usually was, she probably could have been.
She probably could have pulled a few.
She would have at least been fourth, maybe even third.
I mean, we've seen it happen with Ashley too. Ashley Kay, when she went from being the Olympia, going for the fourth title, and she just went from fourth to from first to where'd you go?
Same with Issa Pacini. I think she came ninth.
Yeah, it was didn't like that anymore. Moving on to 7 through 10. You had Ivana, Vanya, Maria, Ariana. Oh, there's a lot of A's in that, isn't there? We sort of started to see there was a leaner and sharper conditioning that used to be scored higher, well, in previous years, but this time around it was like too much muscle or upper body dominance that sort of just threw their balance off it. And it was consistent through those places. So 7 through 10 was relatively consistent.
I
And
love Evie. I absolutely love her look.
Yeah.
Evie, but she,
Yeah.
oh my god, I think if she was slightly softer, actually, again, she could have taken it, because
Yeah.
I don't know where else she can improve. Her posing is phenomenal. Her shape is phenomenal. Like, she's got all the density, the glutes, the shape. I don't know what else she can improve on other than just being a touch softer, because I think she probably was a bit too sharp in the tie-ins from the rear pose. But other than that, I'm like, she's immaculate.
Yeah. I think for where the judges were, and sort of really highlighted how clear the judging direction was in this Olympia, is if your physique doesn't flow naturally from shoulders to waist to glutes, it's not the winning shape anymore. If you're slightly more conditioned, not the condition that they were looking for in this Olympia, I don't necessarily think it will set the benchmark for next season. It should, but I don't think it will. But I think that was the common between 7, 6, and 10, and the rest of the top 10.
What I did find interesting was in the call out, they did position people on the left side or on the right side, depending on which, when you're looking at it, it's on the left. We had glute projection. On the right side, we had less glute projection. It was that more like streamlined kind of look. And I found that really interesting that they separated them like that. And then the top 3 were in the lesser glute projection.
Yeah.
So it kind of tells me that they're not really looking for that big booty pop anymore. Like, they used to really want that nice big shape of the glute projection, but it seems like they don't really want that anymore.
Yeah, some of the, like recently I was talking to a posing coach who's also happens to be a judge with the Pro League and outside of New Zealand, and she was sort of telling me that they had been instructed that the back pose was now probably only about 30%, whereas in the past it was probably more. So they're looking more for presentation and that first overall look. Because the reality is, when you see pictures that are online, you see pictures that are on the magazines, which we don't have anymore, it is the front shot. And Bikini is supposed to be about marketability. So I think they sort of tried to bring that down a little bit. I thought they would have kept rewarding the overdeveloped glutes because it's bikini, not fit model.
And that's more marketable, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but the photos, they're not focusing on, you don't see the lead shot for any product or any magazine or any online e-zine or anything like that is generally not a back shot of a girl.
No, but from the front pose, the glute projection from the side.
It's possibly, maybe they're looking at it, making it more attainable.
Because it's definitely more of a streamlined look than it used to be. The last, since Gen 1, it has been a much more streamlined look. Before that, they really wanted that glute shape from the side, the projection from the front pose.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to be rewarded anymore. Well, it's rewarded, but not it used to be, I guess, higher up the hierarchy.
Yeah, well, it certainly wasn't rewarded at this Olympia.
No.
Then we have 11 through 16. I think by the time we got to these lower call-outs, as we said, this was a phenomenal lineup from every athlete from top to bottom. But 11 through 16.
Standout athlete, Victoria. I don't know her last name, Victoria. She was in a blue suit, blonde girl. Oh my god. She just blew me away. I think there's a lot of people talking about her at the moment. She was in the second call-out.
Oh, Victoria, unpronounceable last name?
Probably, yes. I think, Russian?
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought she was stunning. Yeah, I think she's stunning. Yeah,
absolute standout. Really. I think she's gonna work her way up very quickly.
Yeah, she presents. I mean, she got beautiful shoulder structure. Perhaps her shoulders are a little bit overdeveloped for where they're currently going, and maybe a little bit too conditioned through the core. She's not very well known, so and that does make it difficult. You don't often see an unknown pop through straight into the top 10.
But her silhouette is insane.
Oh, it's insane. She does have a little bit of an exaggerated glute pop from the side. So again, as you said, maybe that just wasn't what they were looking for.
Yeah, I think they probably would say that's not balanced enough. I think they will probably ask her to downsize her glutes, which is very unfortunate because it looks incredible having that glute projection.
Yeah, it does. And I think in another show, she'll be rewarded well. She obviously has been rewarded well. She's qualified for the Olympia before.
But yeah, the second call-out seemed to be very structurally based. Looking across the second call-out, it was all girls who had really nice structure, which was interesting because that wasn't necessarily the first call-out.
No. But it's interesting, 11 through 16, I think by the time you hit to those sort of lower call-outs, the pattern became obvious for what the judges were looking at. The harder conditioning, the deeper cuts, the exaggerated glute pops, upper separation, all of those physiques placed lower. It was
Well,
kind of like the smallest details, the skin tone, the posing angle, glute shape under the stage light. That's what sort of separated 10th from.
Yeah. Well, it's
16th
like
and whatever.
I think it was Vanya was last place, who's a European athlete. Valeria, sorry, not Vanya, Valeria K-Lord on Instagram. But she's a very well known European athlete. She often comes in very shredded,
Now,
and
when
she was
you say
punished
last,
for it
what do you mean by last?
on the outside of the last call out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So she had like a gold brown suit, hair tied up, and she was incredibly shredded.
Yeah.
You can see her like
And
sartorius.
yeah, actually, to be fair, she looks figure. Like,
She does.
I mean, the separation in her quads, her shoulders caps are massive, and that was again, it's just not what they were looking for. So no slight on her and herself. It's just, as you said, not wood. And we could say, like, as you said, all of the athletes look phenomenal. New Zealand's own Kate Carroll was up there. She had
Yes.
put into place everything that the judges had asked for her from her showings through last time. To me, looked like she had grown more in the upper body. Didn't look like it wasn't quite the growth matching in her lower body. But there's the top 10, and then there was everybody else. I mean, it's not a huge gap. We're not talking, this is not like amateurs versus pros. I think it just became pretty clear that if you didn't meet exactly what they were looking for, you kind of went, they didn't really look at anybody outside of the top 10.
I mean, she's
And
still
that's
placed ahead of, like I was saying before, she placed ahead of Jessica Wilson, who's 3-time Masters Olympia champion. I still think that Jessica should have had a higher call out because she's phenomenal. I love Jessica Wilson.
Yeah,
She's got beautiful shape.
I mean, I think the reality is at that level, from a judging perspective, outside of the top 15,
they're all
top 16
insane.
in this case, they are literally going, who haven't we called? They're not actually. I mean, they should.
There's a lot of girls there.
Yeah, should they be saying, okay, we've got our first 5, our second 5, our third 5, and then keep doing that consistently down through all the athletes? But I can tell you from experience, at the time you get outside of that 15, you are literally going, I can't tell. They're all good, but they're not that good. So it's almost like you're just like, okay, let's have number. It's not a reflection on the athlete. It's just a reflection on the fact that judging's been done. But I thought all of them looked phenomenal. Anyway, so that's sort of going through the top 16s. Okay, so we know what the judges were. Let's sort of spell it out a little bit. The judge, what was the judge panel rewarding at this Olympia? They rewarded fullness and shape, flow and symmetry. The soft transitions instead of deep cuts. So there were no really popping glute hamstring tie-ins, which is going to be really interesting for an experiment I'm going to have to do next week with one of our athletes. They wanted a physique that looked balanced, natural, and achievable, and still aspirational, I guess is the word, but not unrelatable. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I would say Bikini is kind of getting away from that. I do think
it has been, yeah.
Even if you look at like Jordan, who's one of the smaller, more petite athletes, she still looks just a touch above what you could probably attainable.
Yeah, you could
not attainable, but yeah, you know what I mean. It's just a touch above. I think I could possibly do that in my delusional brain.
Yeah. If I tried really, really hard and ate all my meals and did all of my exercises and did everything exactly right. But I think it kind of I think that's why Maureen's win is such a big deal.
It definitely is a statement.
Yeah, it should set the tone for every pro show next season. I don't think it will, to be fair.
I feel like what they do is they try to make the softer, fuller standard to almost offset the direction of Bikini, but then they just continue the way they were going. So it almost, while it's still growing, it does kind of keep it back a tiny bit, but yeah, it's kind of like here we're trying, but we're not trying that hard.
We're not trying that hard.
That's kind of what it gives for me.
Yeah. Obviously there were trends across, sorry, just going back to our notes, where are we up to? There were trends across all the placings. So the top 5 were essentially all variations of the same formula. They were balanced, feminine, full, softly conditioned. Each had a presence, they had a glow, they had a flow. And this seems to be the look that they're trying to say defines what the next 12 months is going to be. Then in the top 10, sort of once you moved out of the past top 5, you're starting to see a bit more contrast. There was a little bit too lean, a little bit too overbuilt here and there. It's like the difference between strong and stage hard, the softer physiques. They kind of just photograph and present a little bit better, and I think that's where the judging was going. And then, top 10 through 20 placings, there was various levels of overconditioning, which seems to be officially out. If you look tight but flat, or shredded but off balance, you drop down. It sort of said you can't diet your way into shape anymore. You've got to fill your way into it, which is kind of.
It was definitely very clear. Yeah. That was very clear that they do not want vascularity. That is a big no. They don't want vascularity. They don't want clear striations. They don't want, or any striations. Another big no. They don't want anyone depleted. They want you to look healthy, I think, was probably the main one. I think that's probably where we were going with that before, like rather than attainable necessarily, but they want you to look healthy. So yeah, no striations, no vascularity, no deep V cut in the glutes, no shredded abs. You can have abs, but they can't be shredded. They must be kind of like full. Like Ashley actually did a really good job. She always has very crispy abs, but it almost had like a film over it at the same time. So while it was very defined, you could tell that it wasn't super shredded at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely they do not want super, super shredded. They would rather people come in fuller and softer than being like majorly diced.
Yeah. And I think it's good that they're sending a message about healthier looking and less extreme. I think that makes sense. As I said, I think with the fit model class, I was expecting more of a conditioning variation. Fit model sort of being that softer, that fuller, that less tie-ins, and then almost like taking the handbrake off Bikini and saying, right, come in as jacked as you want. And they just sort of went, no.
But see, they still don't have fit model at the Olympia. So that could also have affected that, because they don't have to have a difference right now, because there's no world champion in fit model. You've got various pro cards going out, but all of them have very different looks. You've got anywhere between like pretty jacked Bikini to, I don't know, like pretty much first year like competing. Like it's a very big variation at the moment. So I don't think they actually needed to make a statement about fit model at this point, because the variation is so big. Next year, I think, will be more telling.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, as you said, I think every fit model pro qualifier that we've seen so far this year, it's like, could you show some consistency? It's like, what? Okay, they are judging what's put in front of them. Fine. But it's like, there's no real message from the Pro League to say, this is what it should be.
It would be nice if they even came out with like a list of like a few of the athletes, maybe even just like 6 of them, like to make it fair, and just be like, hey, these are some looks we really like. Here's what we want. Here's a range. This is what we like.
Yeah, and that would be helpful to the athletes too. I mean, especially at the higher end of the amateur scale, the ones that are pushing for that pro card status. So yeah. Anyway, so what does this all mean for the athletes heading into 2026? Personally, I think it means your prep needs to focus less on
even
depletion.
Internationals.
Even internationals. I mean, it's probably a little bit too late.
Well, you can still fill out.
Yeah, that's true. Eat your carbs.
So, Chris, that means you need to give me more carbs. Wrong federation.
Shit. Right. Yeah, okay, that doesn't apply. I guess it means prep needs to be focused less on depletion, more on fullness and flow. Shape over striations, which means I think the off season or the growth season is going to become more critical, because the muscle mass is what's going to give that shape, as opposed to having to be super lean to show off your strengths. I think you've got to think polish, not punishment. Bring a physique that looks vibrant, confident, complete. It's kind of like the standard that they've set has evolved. The direction seems to be healthier, more realistic, and still absolutely elite, because all of these girls, these athletes, were elite status from 1 through to, what was it, 60?
I have no idea. There was like 7 call-outs.
Yeah. From first girl on stage to last girl on stage, they were all stunning. World-class elite athletes. I'm not 100% sold on this. I still personally prefer the more conditioned look. For me, it's bodybuilding. But
see, will it be rewarded anyway? Is the other controversial topic.
Outside the Olympia. Yeah,
because we've got that Olympia standard and what we're seeing of what they want, but is it going to be rewarded at all the pro shows and even regional shows? That's the other question, because it usually isn't.
And again, I think that comes down to the direction. I'm going to get myself in trouble. That comes down to the direction and the criteria that is relayed to the various judges at the pro level, at the NPC worldwide level, around the world. How, what guidance are they given? What training are they given? What support are they given around this is the criteria? Simply saying the Olympia is the new standard and we expect you to judge that accordingly is not sufficient. You need to invest in your judges. And this goes to all federations. Your judges shouldn't just be people that you count on volunteering their time to show up on weekends and go, well, I think she's pretty good. We've called this out in other federations recently about other shows. It's like, there is more than one pose. There is transitions. There's all these things that have to be considered. So if the Olympia wants this to be the standard, and remember the Olympia is only one show. The Olympia is not owned by the IFBB. It's just an IFBB Pro League show. If this is the standard, then they need to document it. They need to have very strict criteria. They need to have ongoing training for the judges, and I think that should apply to all federations.
Mm-hmm.
If you want consistency, enforce consistency. It should not be based on the opinion of 3 judges worldwide, being Tyler Mannion, Steve Weinberg, and Sandy.
Yeah.
You need to help the judges enforce what you want, and then you'll see consistency.
No,
But
I agree.
in this case, they have spoken. We, as athletes and coaches, need to listen. So, ladies, you know what they're asking for now. So, I think you either listen and present what they're asking for, or you say, nope, this is my look, this is what I'm comfortable with, and you be happy with the results that you get.
This is something that has confused me about bodybuilding as a whole across all federations, the fact that the criteria isn't necessarily, it's not even ranked. So let's say you have you have 2 athletes, they're equal in every aspect. One has better conditioning, but one has better muscle. Who do you reward? Because there's no official ranking of...
And in some cases, that's a very difficult thing to do, right? Because this is a subjective sport. So you don't run up with a set of calipers or a tape measure and go, hang on a second, your shoulder to waist to hip ratio is 0.5 of a centimeter off, so therefore you suck. Off you go. It's, you can't, it would make judging a hell of a lot more easier. You could just mention check-ins, right? Pinch, 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 pinch. Right, first, second, third, show up tomorrow for the pictures, we're all done. But I do think that the training of the judges needs to become a focal point. And that training, like when I first started judging under the old IFBB amateur days, I had to do so many amateur shows. I had to submit my results. I wasn't allowed to talk to any of the other judges. I had to get within 95% of what the head judge had scored. I had to explain all of my placings to what is, it doesn't happen anymore. Okay. But I think there does need to be some structure around it,
collaboration.
And the same goes for posing. Yeah, and it's like, have a seminar for them, for crying out loud. Get them all in. It doesn't have to be traveling to bloody Pittsburgh to do it. It can be online. You can have all of the judges there. Set courses, set test marks.
Yep. You can have photos of lineups, be like, here, how do you judge this?
Yeah.
Give me the reasons.
But that being said, these guys that are judging the Olympia are at the top of the game. They all are professional judges. They all judge all around the world. You do have to sort of say, well, this is the standard. So, yeah, as I said, probably the most controversial Olympia from the bikini side for a very long time. There's obviously a fair amount of disagreement online with the various placings. Not everybody's, as we've always said, the only person who's ever going to be happy is the champion.
Well, speaking of, I didn't bring this up. What do we think about the lime green suit, Maureen?
Yeah,
I wasn't a huge fan either.
No.
At first, I was like, I don't know if I love it or hate it. And the more I see it, the more I'm like, it's not quite right.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we didn't talk much about sparkles today. What did you think of the various bikini selection on display today? Yes, last weekend.
Yeah, so like I say, I wasn't the hugest fan of Maureen's suit. I think the red is really her colour. She looks phenomenal in red. The pink was fine, but yeah, the green I wasn't a huge fan of. I think it was probably the combination of having the neon green stones and the velvet fabric.
But I bet you will see a lot more. I bet you will see a lot more of it next year.
We will, especially because Jazzy also had a green suit. Loved Ashley Kay's colour. Absolutely love it. Laura Lee's suit was interesting. It looks good in some lights and not so good in others because, again, it's velvet and it's a lighter colour, so it does wash out very easily. So in certain photos, it looks awesome, but under bright lights, not so much. Yeah, those were probably the main, I guess. Now, Jordan's suit was really cool. She had like a neon purple. But yeah, a lot of greens this year. A lot of greens. Not a lot of blues.
No, that was, yeah, it was like, okay, blues out. Next.
And not a lot of purple. There was actually not much purple. The only purples really, I'm just looking at the call-outs. We've got lilac, which is like a lighter shade of purple. We have Jordan's neon purple, more lilac. And yeah, that's about it. Another lilac.
Actually, something
We have
else.
one kind of standard purple here in the fourth call-out.
There you go.
So yeah, not a lot of purple going on.
One of the things that I saw pop up on Reddit was
and no
somebody had
pink.
mentioned
Only one or two pink coots. Two.
But somebody had actually mentioned on Reddit about their shoes, and I thought, okay, this is interesting. They had mentioned about that some of the athletes had the slightly shorter heels.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back and I looked at all the comparisons, and they were right. There were actually quite a few who were wearing that sort of mid-height heel, and it just doesn't work.
I did see one girl in the really tall heels, actually.
There was one girl who was like, like, okay, that doesn't work either.
They were like the FMG, huge. I don't even usually sell those ones. Like, they're very tall. I think she was.
I thought it was interesting that there was this. There seemed to be quite a large number of the athletes wearing the slightly shorter heels, and frankly, I thought, this is not really working. The other thing is, usually, you know me, Rach, when it comes to the shoes, I don't like the sparkly shoes, right? How many times have I told you, I don't like the bigger platforms, I don't like all the jewels on them. To me,
meanwhile, me wearing the bigger platform and the sparkle shoes.
Yeah, so I sit there and go, shh, not listening to me again. But I had to say that I thought the girls with the higher heels and the sparkly shoes, it worked. But so I was like, Rach is right again. Shut up. Just move on to the next one. So
it really pops. Anyway. They are significantly more expensive, I will admit. They cost me a lot to get. They are not cheap, the sparkle ones, but they look really cool on stage.
Yeah, they did. They did. And I had to say, all in all, I think across all of the classes, 212, classic physique, men's physique, figure, women's physique, Ms. Olympia bodybuilding, Mr. Olympia bikini, wellness, all of them. They're phenomenal. The quality of the athletes there this year is probably the best it's been in a long time. Yeah, and you had to look at Mr. Olympia. I think there were 5 actual Mr. Olympias on stage.
It's the same with bikini.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, damn. That's the thing I like. Like, it's really cool when it's not the same champion every year. It's kind of like,
or that there's a close lineup. Like this year was very close. Like you could see when the first call out came out for bikini, they were like, shit.
They're like, But it was like that in all of the, pretty much all of the classes. It's like when you have, other than men's physique, I was like, Ryan Terry, that done. But it's really cool now when, like, particularly in the Open and the Mr. Olympia, it's cool not to have, okay, who's second? It's really awesome to sort of go, this is going to be fun. When you start looking at, the Open lineup and you've got, Samson Dowder from last year, and then you've got, Derek Lunsford from the year before, and then you've got, Hardy Chopin, and you've got, who else was up there? Brandon Curry was up there, and, all of these guys who have won the Olympia, and they're all standing there going, yeah, come on, pick one. You're like, shit. Okay, this is going to be fun. But anyway, we probably waffled on enough about the Olympia this week.
Yes, we have.
Because I know we all have a busy week. So what do we got coming up? Next week we will be show wrap-ups. Yep, we've got busy weekend this weekend. We've got in New Zealand anyway, NZIFBB Waikato Natural and Open Regionals, and then also the ICN Nationals. So I will be at both shows, so I'll be very tired. So I'm not sure how Rachel's going to do a recap of the ICN Nationals, because she will be backstage. So we'll probably do a backstage recap and a front.
Well, hopefully they'll have a live stream again. Like, that was really cool having the live stream last time.
Okay, can you take notes this time? No problem.
We'll see. We'll see how we go with it once I have some cups.
Fair enough. All right, so we do have we're lining up some guests as well, so you don't just have to always listen to Rachel and I waffle on about nothing. So that will be fun. We'll sort of announce them post Nationals, post IFBB Nationals.
Yeah, busy couple of weeks. Okay, so we should wrap it up there. So if you liked today's podcast, make sure you follow us on Instagram, like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. Pretty much just follow us on all platforms, because it will help everyone find us. And stay tuned for next week's episode on Waikatos and ICN Nationals.
Yep, and that's actually who's reading. She's reading my bit, so I'm not going to say it.
We've lost the plot.
We lost it. It's officially gone. Although she has one more line to say. We'll see if she does it. She's had under very strict instructions. But anyway,
enjoy.
And there you go. Got to wait to the end, Rachel. Got to wait to the end. So again, thank you all for your somewhat attention today. Hopefully we've highlighted, entertained, and pleased you in some form. If not, it's Rachel's fault. And we will see you all next Saturday.
Yes, enjoy your dinner.